Okay, in this video, we're going to learn how to create the sprocket in AutoCAD. The first thing I'm going to do is open up the metric template. So I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to choose AutoCAD ISO. So I'm in millimeters. I'm going to say Open. Now that I have this open, I'm going to create my layer for a guideline. You can also name it construction line. So I'm going to click on the New, and I like to call it Guides. And let's choose a color that contrasts well with the white object line that we'll be using. So I'm going to choose a green and say OK. Close out of that. Turn our current layer to our guideline layer. I'm going to type in XL for construction line. Hit Enter. Click on the screen. F8 nice and straight for ortho. Click, and we'll create that line again horizontally. Hit Escape. Now that we have our crosshairs here, I'm going to create my circles here. So I'm going to go to my normal layer here, and notice that these are diameters that I see over on the left. So if we take a look on the left here, we can see that I have a outer diameter of 80 and an inner diameter of 75. So I'm going to do center diameter, snap to my center point, and say 80, and zoom in. And then I'm going to do another one at 75. And that's the two inner circles right here. There's going to be a couple more. Give me 1 second. The other circles I'm going to identify right now is this guideline outside circle that's going to define the center point of these circles that are cut out around the outside. So I'm going to do that with the guideline layer, and we're going to do that at a outside radius of 67. So let's do that. Center radius, click 67, and then there's this dashed one. Let's see if we can find that. It has a radius of 63.4. So same thing, center radius now, and 63.4. And now we have that for the outside. We can see that the circle here, let's see if we can find where it's noted. This circle, here we go, radius of 15.5. And I can see that it's centered here, so I'm going to use this intersection right here between my center line and this center line, and this circle is going to be the center point of my circle that has that radius of 15.5. So I'm going to choose the object line layer, and we're going to do a center radius, and we're going to pick on that intersection, and we're going to say 15.5. Enter. And I have to change that to be white. Then we can trim that up. I'm going to actually trim that up at the end, because I noticed that there's one other thing here. There's a chamfer, which is like a straight edge on an angle that goes from this circle out to this one. So I'm going to do that first before I trim this circle here. So I have this thing looped in, and it chamfers out. Now the center point for that, it starts 50.5 up from the center. So I need to go an offset from this line up 50.5 as is noting right here, and then from there I'm going to draw guidelines that come out on a chamfer at 50 degrees from either way from the center. So that line I need to turn back to a guideline. We're going to do offset 50.5, enter, and come up from there. And then now we can focus right here, and we can draw a line snapping from here. Turn off ortho if you had it on, and we're going to say 50 degrees from the center, but notice that my my angle right here is referencing from the horizontal line. So I'm going to basically say 90, and if I want to come down 50, that means I have 40 left over, so I'm going to hit tab and say 40 and hit enter, and that's a 50-degree line from the top. I'm going to just mirror that over. So I'm going to click on my object, enter, and then snap, and snap. Erase source objects, no, I want to keep it. And then now I have my chamfer that clips out. I'm going to turn these lines, instead of guidelines, I'm going to turn them into my solid object lines. And I'm ready to trim. So I'm going to use this outside circle and trim that. I'm going to then also do trim. I'm going to use this circle to trim inside. Then I'm going to use these lines here to trim the outside of that circle. And now I have the shape of the cutout that I want. And I'm going to, I might as well use this circle right now to trim that opening right here. This outside edge right here, this is actually supposed to be a guideline. Turn that back to guide. Alright, now I'm ready to rotate this profile around the outside. So I have this 3 lines, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to be rotating in a polar array, which is this command, polar array, from the center point. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these items. So I'm going to highlight that and say 10. I click into a different field, it updates. And those 10 items are what I want. And so I'm just going to hit enter and say, yeah, we're good. So I have those items. We might be able to trim with them. Let's find out. First of all, we'll put them on a layer that's white. And let's see if we can take this outside line. We'll turn it white as well. And we're going to trim that. So let's see if it trims with this. If it doesn't, we have to explode it. So we'll say this is our cutting edge. Maybe we can trim maybe that. Nah, it won't let us. No, I have to select each item. No, it won't. Okay, so we have to explode this. So I click on it, type explode, hit enter, and then now the easiest way to trim this is to just highlight everything, and we're just going to trim off all of the spaces in between the sprocket here where it's open. Cool. So now we have that, the outside. The other thing that we have is this circle, this guideline that touches the bottom of these circles here. And there's 5 circles that kind of revolve around it. And so this one's on the horizontal line. So I'm going to draw that one first and then do a polar array. So in order to do that, I have to do a 2-point circle could work. Let's try a 2-point circle. The other way to do it would be like a center radius would also work, but let's just try something new. So 2-point circle. I'm going to click on that. I have the guideline layer on. I'm going to do it from that intersection to that one. It's the same thing as clicking on the center and doing our radius out to touch that. Now that we have that, we know that the diameter of one of those small circles is 8. So center diameter. And I'm going to draw it right where it aligns, right here, onto my drawing. And we just have to say 8. And we are going to turn that to the correct layer, white. And then we are going to do a polar array. The center point of that array is in the middle. And there are 5 items. And when we update it, hopefully it looks correct. Yep, looks correct. Enter. Click on the array. go to home, and if it changed layers on you like mine, you can update that as so. Then we can turn off our guides, turn that off, make our white our current layer, and this looks correct. So that's the sprocket. We're going to save our work. Make sure when you save it, you name it your initials underscore, and then we're going to name it the title of the drawing. So in this case it's a sprocket. So save, you would save that to your network drive, and we would bring that over into layout. In layout, once again, we're just going to increase the size of our viewport. Click on where it says model or paper, so that way we're in model. Hit F7 to turn off the grid. Change the scale to something that fits nicely on the title block. So I'm going to go a nice tight 1:1, lock it, and then we're going to import our title block. So let's see if I have mine handy. And let's see. I might have to download that. These ones I think are the old ones. So I would download that, and we would import in that title block as needed, and fill it out with matching text. So in our case, 5mm should be the right text. Don't forget to save and subscribe.